Good evening, everybody. My name's Adam White. As I continue to move these cameras around a little bit, happy December to everybody. My name's Adam White. I do government and legislative affairs for the Alaska Airmen's Association. And last month when I came to you, I was in Anchorage, excuse me, and had some technical difficulties. Was down in Anchorage for some meetings. I am in Anchorage again this month, but now I'm at the Airmen's office, and so we've got much better internet here, and so hopefully we won't have any technical issues as we go through a list of things tonight. You'll also remember maybe last month that I did not wear a Hawaiian shirt or a fancy shirt, which has been the tradition since COVID hit so many months ago, and so well, I've got a nice Christmas-themed shirt that I'm wearing, thanks to, of all folks, my mother. So, and it looks like she just joined in. So, Mom, I am wearing the shirt you sent me. Thank you very much for that. And you weren't the only one who commented about trying to keep it light and lively and continue that tradition for wearing a kind of an exciting shirt instead of just the normal thing. So that's not why you're watching, though, to find out what kind of shirt I'm wearing. You're watching to find out more about what's happening with the Alaska Airmen's Association, and more specifically, what's happening with government and legislative affairs. So we're going to jump right into that. I've got a page full of notes here that I'm going to run through and give you some great information. So again, I am in Anchorage again this month, down here for some meetings. Had some meetings today. I have some meetings scheduled for tomorrow, advocating on your behalf for general aviation here in Alaska. There's a lot of snow here in Anchorage, and there is more snow in the forecast. And so if you haven't checked on your airplane, you probably should. There's a lot of snowpack out there. So with that, make sure you're checking NOTAMs. Lake Hood Strip is NOTAM closed for several days while they are trying to keep the international airport open. I know that other airports in the state are having a difficult time. My home airport of Nenana is having some difficulty trying to keep up with it. Soldotna is having some difficulty keeping up with it. And those are just the three that I know of personally because of what I've been trying to get done and get accomplished. And the snow just keeps coming. So check NOTAMs. Make sure you know what you're getting yourself into when it comes to weather conditions and other things. Also, again, I want to mention, please, 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 there's nothing more sad than seeing an airplane with collapsed wing struts because of the snow. If you can't get out and take care of your airplane, please let somebody know, because there's any number of us would be more than willing to go out and help keep the snow off of your wings. So just got to reach out. So with that, going on to the next item I've got on my list. I've talked about this a lot, but there are a lot of changes that happen on your charts from one month to the next, from one printing cycle to the next. I know that a lot of people don't think that. A lot of people think, oh, nothing changes on the sectional. The mountains never move. Well, that may be true, unless actually here in Alaska the mountains do move sometimes. But the information that's on the charts gets updated on a rather frequent basis. And there's a lot of new things that have been put on the sectional charts and on the en route charts and in the Alaska supplement here in the past year. And there's more things coming in the future. Some things that have been on there, we got elevations charted for mountain passes back in here in the state of Alaska. They disappeared years ago, and we don't really know exactly when, why, or how for that, but we got some ideas. But we've got that back on the charts now. We've added new passes to the sectional charts here this year. We've added a lot of new IFR-T routes, the Tango routes, and there's a lot more coming in the year ahead. So if you fly IFR, take a look at those. Restricted areas, temporary flight restrictions that are now going to full-fledged restricted areas. 2206 there in the interior, right at the mouth of the north end of Windy Pass. I have seen the chart for the 29th of December. It is there. It looks great. So far, I haven't found any errors in the charting of that. So congratulations to the FAA folks that have worked very hard to get that information in there. Very complicated, but trying to make it simple. There's some chart notes that are there by that restricted area that are very important that you're going to want to read and know about. So pay attention to that. There's a frequency you can look for and listen to, and there's lighting that will come on when that restricted area goes hot. So other things that we are working to get back on the charts, the tragic accident on the Matanuska River, aircraft hit some cables going across the river there, fatality involved with that. In the past, there have been a chart symbol or a chart box that told you to be cautious about the possibility of wires in that area, and it was no longer on the chart. Would that have made a difference in the accident? Nobody really knows. Should that tag be back on the chart? We think so, and along with a lot of other people who also think that tag should be back on the chart. And the FAA is working very hard to get that back on there as soon as possible. So something else that's coming up on charts in the near future, so another reason to update your charts when the charting cycle happens, is we are working along with AOPA and other industry partners to get VFR checkpoints and waypoints in mountain passes and at the entrances to mountain passes. And that will help us determine that we are actually in the right drainage, we are in the right area, we are doing what we think we're doing. And the FAA has worked with us to get that on the charts, and those should be coming pretty soon. Other updates and changes that are possible in the year ahead, looking to see about combining the common traffic advisory frequencies for Holy Cross, Anvik, Shagluck, and Grayling. All of those villages are in a small cluster there in the lower Yukon, and right now there is a lot of confusion and back and forth on the frequencies between those four villages. They're so close together that we feel, along with some of the commercial operators and other folks, that there should be one CTAF for that area. And so the FAA agrees with that, and they are working to combine that. And I'm not sure which one's going to come out on top as far as 22.7, 22.8, 22.9, but be looking for that change on your charts as well. Some new great information that's pretty exciting for me. I'm kind of a geek and a nerd when it comes to this stuff, but there is a new satellite in orbit. The Joint Polar Satellite System has a new satellite. It's a polar orbiting weather satellite. Incredible technology on these new satellites that are up there. There's a new one that's in orbit. It should actually be sending down good data by this point. They were talking about the first of the month, around the first week or so, before it starts sending new data. So that is already in process. What will this do for us? This will help us get better weather products from the National Weather Service. This will help us get improved data so that the forecast can be better. We know that forecasts sometimes kind of make us scratch our head a little bit. I was talking with some good friends at the National Weather Service today, and we were joking that, if you just stop putting snow in the forecast, it wouldn't snow. Please stop. We've got enough. Don't put snow in the forecast again. Obviously, that's not the way that works. But they will have some more tools to have better information to make better, more accurate forecasts. So that's exciting news. Been a long time coming, and I'm excited to have that, and looking forward to seeing what that new data looks like. Also want to remind you that the PIREP study is underway. You've heard me talk about that before. There are 2 locations in the United States where they are doing a research project to see if submitting pilot reports through artificial intelligence, basically the concept would be talking to Siri or Google or Alexa, that type of concept. But you would do it over the radio in the aircraft. Oklahoma City is one of the test locations. They wanted to test it in Alaska because if it works in Alaska, it works everywhere else, as we know that. So they wanted to test it in Alaska as well. You've probably heard me mention this if you've attended any meetings here in the state in the past couple of months, but Nenana was chosen for that test site. Now, I live in Nenana. I am participating in that research. May have had some things to do with making sure it was there. The things that we talked about and the places we wanted to place it, the Anchorage Bowl would not be a good candidate. Too much flying, too much going on, too many other things that you need to be doing on the radio, and it would be a distraction for you to participate in this airspace here in the Anchorage Bowl. Wanted to be someplace where there was significant amount of traffic, but not in the center of that traffic. So the Fairbanks area was a great option because it's good infrastructure along the Parks Highway corridor, the rail belt. It's not in the Fairbanks Tersa, so you're not having to be torn between talking to ATC or participating in the test program, but it is within radio range of coming and going out of Fairbanks along the major routes going out to the west of Fairbanks. And so Nenana was a logical choice, and just by coincidence, I live there. So I'm actually hosting the equipment in my hangar there in Nenana, and so that's been neat to see how that program works. If you want to know more about that program, reach out to me through social media. You've got my email address on our website at alaskaairmen.org, and I'll be glad to send you some more information. Or you can just search Nenana PIREP, and there's several news articles that talk about that tell you more about it and show you how to go in and get signed up for that program. Several pilots are participating already in the state. You don't have to be a general aviation pilot. You can actually be an airline pilot if your company would allow you to participate. We've got some folks flying up into flight levels that are coming across, filing pilot reports through this automated system. And so it's a great research project, and that's exactly what it is. It's research to see if this technology might be a viable way to move forward with some things when it comes to submitting pilot reports or even retrieving pilot reports. So if you're interested in that program, do a search, again, Nenana PIREP, and a lot of things will come up there that will direct you to more information. If you do choose to participate, there is the opportunity for some financial compensation because of it being a research project. So a little financial incentive to do that. So looking at some other increases in research and new opportunities and other things, the weather camera program, of which all of us here in Alaska dearly love our weather cameras. And we've had some issues with a few of them this past year that have gone offline, and because of various reasons, it's taken a while for them to come back online. So you never really know what you've got until it's gone, as the phrase goes. I think a lot of us have grown to appreciate weather cameras even more as a result of some of these outages we've had. They're working to solve those as fast as they can. But the weather camera program is looking for areas to expand the program. They're looking for new locations to put cameras, and not just here in Alaska. So if you're watching this and you're in the lower 48 and you've heard about the weather cameras that we have here in Alaska and you want that in your area, there is an opportunity that you can submit some potential locations. So it's not just for the lower 48. I've got a few ideas based on a lot of feedback from you, our members, of where some new potential sites for weather cameras might be. So I've got a link to a web forum that you can fill out that will give you some more information about that. Pretty difficult to put that here on the live stream, but if you reach out to me, I will be glad to send you a link to that web forum where you can tell the weather camera program where you think some good potential locations would be going forward in the future. So just a couple more things here before we wrap up. There's a possibility that our registration for our aircraft may go from 3 years to 7 years. This is not a new proposal. I've taken this to the FAA in the past. I've worked with Senator Sullivan's office in the past on this, and for various reasons, it's never really moved anywhere. If you have tried to re-register an airplane, or if you bought a new airplane and tried to get the registration done, it takes forever. The FAA has got a huge backlog of registrations, and so the FAA is now proposing to lengthen, permanently lengthen, not just temporarily extend, but permanently change the registration period from 3 years to 7 years. Now, they think this is a good enough idea that nobody's going to oppose it. So they've gone through what's called a direct to final rule. This is a process where they can bypass some of the public comment period if in the initial comment period there's no substantive negative comments. And I've kept an eye on the comments that have been filed. There have been a few negative comments, surprisingly, about this concept. Now, are they substantive? A couple of them are not. You read them and you're like, okay, this guy's got an axe to grind, and this is not a relevant comment. However, we'll have to wait and see what the FAA's opinion is as to whether or not some of those comments may be relative and pertinent. Now, if they do find that they are, that doesn't stop the process. What it does, though, is it automatically enacts another 60-day comment period, and it has to go through the full process for a rule change. That's lengthy, that's costly. It's not what the FAA is looking for, so we'll have to find out what that does. If things go on the fast track, by January, by the end of next year, by the end of next January, here next month, we might be able to have a 7-year time limit on our registration. Now, it will be from the effective date of your current registration. It will go from the effective date to 7 years. So we may have to do a little bit of math on our own registration certificates to find out when they really expire at that point moving forward. It's not just going to be with new registration certificates. It's going to be from all current registration certificates from the date they were issued. They will now be valid for 7 years. So we'll have to go back and look and make sure what that is at that time. Now, it's not a done deal. I know a lot of folks in the media have said that it's a done deal, and it's not. Like I said, there are a few negative comments that have been filed already, and it's going to be interesting to see what the FAA determines as to whether or not those are substantive or not. So those are the big highlights that I had for you this month. Just two other reminders for you. Raffle tickets for the Alaska Airmen's Cub that are available. They make great stocking stuffers. But all ticket sales for the raffle plane are now online. So you can go to our website, alaskaairmen.org, and you can purchase your tickets online. We're raffling off a Carbon Cub FX2, and it's a pretty nice airplane. I've had a chance to look at it, and the options and the packages and the things that we're going to have for it by the time the trade show comes up in May, you're going to want to buy tickets. So please go do that. Now you think, what are those? What's all the money go for that? Because you do the math by the number of tickets sold and the price of the tickets. There, we're talking about some serious money. Well, if you've looked at the price of airplanes these days, it was not a cheap thing to get this airplane. It's rather expensive. But the raffle is our largest fundraiser to operate the organization. So it funds a lot of our programs. It helps with my salary to be able to advocate for our needs in general aviation. It helps with the youth outreach in the Next Gen, which, by the way, they're meeting here in the Airmen's building tonight. The Next Gen Club board is meeting tonight. It also helps fund our scholarships, which, by the way, applications open up January 2nd for this next year's scholarships. Last year, we administered over $100,000 in aviation-related scholarships. We're looking to significantly increase the amount of scholarships we hand out this next year, and raffle sales will help with that, but we are also asking for direct donations to the scholarship fund to help get the next generation into the industry that we all love so dearly. So those are the items I had for us tonight here on the live stream. I was just kind of checking as things were coming up on the feed. Didn't see any questions. Saw several thumbs up that popped up along the way. So great to see that interaction. And again, with that, reach out to me if you want to know more information about the PIREP research project or about the weather camera program and their desire to find out preferred locations for some new weather cameras, not just here in Alaska, but even in the lower 48. So with that, I'll say good night and looking forward to the days ahead where we're going to be able to spend some time together, my family and I, as we celebrate Christmas. So looking forward to that time together. Hopefully you'll have some time to spend with family and friends and enjoy some aviating once all this snow is able to get handled at a lot of our airports here in the state. So be careful, be safe, stay warm, and we'll talk to you next time.